All right, today's date is January 11th, 2025. Going over a little overlooked prep that most people don't seem to have, and that is the simple passport. You can also have your United States passport if you're a prepper in the US or Canada or whatever. Let me just show you that. During COVID, we all learned, and I learned because I have an Israeli passport as well, that when you look, here is your map of where the US can take you to, all throughout the world. Visa-free travel. The blues, greens, and the yellows are pretty much where you go. The red is a no-go. Basically, it's harder to get. China, it's sketchy right now. How do you get around that? I can just show you. I can actually go to Russia on my Israeli passport. And here's where that's all about to change. I have availability. See, look right here. I can go to the US with a pre-filed. Your Arab African countries, no go through here. China I can go to. That's easier for me to get with my Israeli than my American. But I can go to Russia. I can go to Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, all these Stan countries where if you ever have to, never mind prepping and bugging out, that's later in this conversation, just doing business, you can travel to these areas much easier. So when you go through here and you look, you see I can go to all of South America on my Israeli, where in my American I have to pull, I believe. Let me double check that. No, it's the same. Actually, my American is stronger by one country. Venezuela is a no-go for either one. That's another conversation for another day. How do I get around that? Well, I have also, with my family background, German. So there's my German passport strength. I'm in the process of doing this right now. German by descent. I can go to all of Central South America with that. I don't have to worry about Venezuela with my German. I can just show up. I can go to Russia with no problem. I can go to China with no problem. I can go to Australia, all these countries. It just really opens up. Compare that to even the US, which is stronger. I have to do a pre-approved visa with the yellow to go to Australia. It's pretty easy though. Pakistan, the same thing. But just watch how much that changes when I switch it over and I have German. It really opened up. And you notice that this block of countries through here, almost nobody can go to. Now watch what I do here. There is citizenship by investment programs. One of them I'm actually going through out of this list between Turkish, Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Grenada, and Serbia. So my plan is in the next 2 years, I want to have 4 passports. That's my goal in the next 2 years. Oops, that's my talit. Shabbat just ended. And this is something that I had on my mind for a few days to bring up because a lot of people don't get it. We remember during COVID how you could not leave. And I was actually able to travel to Europe and go on vacations and trips using my Israeli passport, where like Germans weren't taking Italians, Italians weren't taking the French weren't taking the Germans. But I showed up with my Israeli passport and I was able to travel in France and Germany and Italy in that time frame. I want you to see this. Now we start going. Now some of these passports are not as strong. Like when you look at Turkish, yes, I can't go to Canada, America, or even Mexico. I got to do a pre-approved. That's not a big deal. The yellow, that's pretty easy. Same thing with South Korea, but I can go to Japan, visa-free. Australia, it's harder too. The EU, the Schengen area is closed off also, but I can go to Russia. I can't go to China, India as easily. These same block of countries are just closed off, but I can go here, and it's all about perception. If it's a doomsday scenario, shit hits the fan scenario, and I whip out a passport like this, let's go to the Caribbean ones. Mexico I have to get, but you see, I can go to China, Russia. I can go to a few others around there. Antigua and Barbuda kind of play. Now I can't go to Argentina. By the way, hold that thought. Argentina is another one I'm actually thinking about getting paperwork to move there for a period of time to get the passport, because that is very good fertile farming and prepping. People forget South America, even Africa. That's another conversation, prepping in Africa. But let's start with prepping in South America. That is fertile prime land. I have done a lot of traveling and I have a lot of experience in Central and South America and the Caribbean. Caribbean's harder because it's a lot of shipping in. You got to boat in and all your building supplies. But the South America is where it's at as far as if you want to be a prepper. Gun rights, it depends on the country. Paraguay, Argentina, there's a few others that you can get, like rifles and stuff. But primo farming land and ranch land. Now take a look right here, St. Kitts and Nevis. It's about the same. Opens up Russia. Now, out of all the Caribbean ones, for me, that works for my personal situation because my Israeli and my American kind of open things up. But I get visa free to China. So when you're talking about manufacturing and when you're talking business in general, China's a good backdoor pocket. Now, the next one is also Serbia. I'm probably pulling the trigger on the Serbian one. I'm hoping to get Serbian because I got to pay $300,000 for it. And people will say, why do we pay so much for these? And they're $230 is where they start at. There is some cheaper ones, Vanuatu and a few others, but they don't get quite the same travel. And it doesn't have much of a heft. Serbia is nice because you can go between the East and the West. Same thing with Turkey. Perception is everything. And that's part of prepping that people don't realize. And also too, about Africa, it's pretty easy to get visas, like permanent residencies to live there. And then the land to get there is also pretty affordable if you ever wanted to live there and prep there. Yes, when things go sideways there, it goes sideways really bad. And gun rights aren't really a thing. On paper, they're illegal. But just like when I was in Honduras, El Salvador, these places, I saw more guns than I saw in America. Open carry, rifles, shotguns, the whole thing. But that is a little overlooked prep that I feel like a lot of people sidestep. And I think it's an important prep to have. Most Americans, I don't know the percentage, but they say the majority of Americans don't even have their passport. And I think you really close your mind when you don't have a proper passport to get out. Because what if you have to run away and you have no documentation? That's probably one of your most important things to have is that documentation. I can't stress that enough. And most people don't have that. And they'll usually say things like, oh, I'm staying here, it's my country, or there's no country like here. Things change. Now, I see good things happening for America and across the West, but I also see a lot of positives in the East. And I have access to the East because I am a dual citizen, and I'm actually trying to get more. Before anyone says all the comments about, you see those Jews, they like to have, they're really loyal to Israel and this and that. I'm loyal to all my countries. We all have the same interests. And I think also peace through, not just superior firepower, I think peace through business is the ultimate peace strategy. And that's the stuff that really matters. That's a side note. I think it's important to have as many citizenships as you can because it gives you diversity, and that's what prepping is all about. It's also having that diversity. All right, preppers and prepettes, checking out for now. See you next time.